Part 2 of the Helsapad Pass covers the lower half of the descent. If you intend driving this pass, it's important to watch Part 1 first, which contains the Google Earth orientation clips as well as other important safety and tourism information. Due to the complexity of finding a way out through the plains at the bottom of the pass, we suggest that this pass only be driven in the descending mode. Straight after the horseshoe bend, the road drops over a small stream which is mostly dry and then commences a very wide left-hand curve of just under 1 kilometer as the buttress of the mountain is skirted. This leads into a deep, rough and rocky ravine at the 3.9 kilometer mark. When it does sometimes rain here, a series of waterfalls drop rapidly down this little gorge, and this is one of the most likely places that the road will suffer damage. Some under-road drainage is in existence, but more often than not, the water will flow right over the roadway. It's quite a dramatic spot, and for those with a keen eye for photography, you'll find this gorge quite appealing. Soon another small riverbed is crossed, which has a vertical drop-off on the right. The descent remains at a steady gradient as the heading is once again into the southwest. Soon a fork appears ahead. Ignore the left-hand option, which leads to a stone-walled kraal. Keep right and continue descending. There's still a long way to go before you reach the plains, so keep your concentration levels high. Amongst these mountains and plains, there's a unique mix of flora, which includes several very rare and endemic species. Animals that can be seen include blackback jackals, bat-eared foxes, rock hyrax, otters, weasels, polecats and klipspringer. There are also many reptile and snake species and many raptor and water bird species as well. Whilst visiting Neretva, make sure you stop in at the only filling station on the northern side of the village. If you are there during the week, you might find the owner present. Ask for permission to browse through what is probably the finest collection of vintage motorcycles in South Africa. Another must-visit place in the village is the local church, which, like most towns in South Africa, the church takes pride of place. The architecture is magnificent and the setting on a large property amongst tall trees is perfect. Just north of Neretva, easily accessible off the main tarred road to Louriesfontein, the Doring River drops some 100 meters into a deep rock pool. This is a pleasant spot to enjoy an al fresco lunch or tea break. The falls are at their most spectacular after the rainy season, and it's a great attraction to include in your itinerary whilst you're on the Neretva birding or flower route. Neretva is famous for its attractive sandstone buildings, flowers and gardens due to the variety and quantity of bulb flowers that bloom in this particular part of the Hunter Karoo. It's called the Bloemhof Plateau, and like the Namaqualand further north, the semi-arid Bloemhof bursts into spectacular flower between the months of August and October. During the flowering season, there are over 1,350 species of plants that flower in profusion of color and life. Over 40% of these are bulbous plants. From this point, the steep drop-offs are left behind and the gradient becomes easier as westing is made. The track runs along a spine of a ridge with a small river on the left. The bends become fewer and soon a complex intersection is reached with no less than 5 roads to choose from. Some of these options are very tempting, not to mention misleading. Make sure you take the third road from the left. This is one of the most likely places that people will get lost. The road continues descending very gently and crosses the riverbed within 1 kilometer after the intersection. To the newcomer, it looks as if the road ends here, but if you cross through the thorn trees, you'll be able to pick up the track on the far side without too much difficulty. Now comes the tough part, finding your way back to a main road. During your drive out over the Knausvlakte, keep a lookout for antelope and other small animals. The pass officially ends at this river crossing at the 6.6 kilometer mark at an altitude of 326 meters. If you're a gravel pass fan, put this one on your bucket list, you won't be sorry.